Rain hammered against the windows. A flash of lightning illuminated bare stone walls and a couple of shambling corpses. A boom of thunder followed half a breath later. Getting closer then. Good. She needed the lightning, and the storm matched her mood. She sat on a high-backed stone chair, brooding. How did it come to this? Every path she sought toward freedom only seemed to lead her to more closed doors, more dead ends to escape. She'd made demonic pacts to make herself ageless, undying, at the paltry cost of a soul she was hardly using anyway. Her breath no longer steamed, even on cold nights like this one. But demons are harsh masters, and soon she found herself working to subvert her pacts, to kill her demons, to have immortality and freedom both. And so, the chain veil. It whispered to her, even now, from the hidden pocket where she kept it. With it, she had killed 2 demons, lords among their kind. With it, she had commanded armies of the undead even she had never dreamt of, had besieged and taken Thraben itself, the greatest city on Innistrad, just to get her hands on one of those demons. But the veil. She could no longer bring herself to wear the thing on her face, to feel its silken, soft links against her skin. She hated touching it, but when she tried to get rid of it, the pain was unbearable. And using it was worse. "Liliana," said a voice. A familiar voice, wasn't it? She stood. "I'm busy," she said, loudly and clearly. "If you've come to torment me again, get on with it." Something prickled at her temples, a sensation like fingers prying at the door. "Torment?" said the voice. "I didn't realize it was that bad." Lightning flashed, illuminating a large black bird perched on the windowsill. As the thunder's echo in her ears subsided, a second voice spoke, seemingly right in her ear. "I didn't say anything," said the Raven Man. She turned. There he was beside her, with his white hair, golden eyes, and elegant black and gold robes belonging to a very different time and place. He was... well, she wasn't quite sure what he was, an ignorance she tolerated only because she had no choice. He had appeared to her in her youth, taunted her, taught her. He had set her on the path that brought her here, and appeared now and then to keep her on it. He could rot in the nearest available hell as far as she was concerned. "I'm not in the mood for wordplay," said Liliana. "Fine," said the first voice, a different voice, definitely, full of sharp suspicion. "Then let's cut to the chase." The Raven Man's spectral lips hadn't moved. He didn't look wryly amused as he usually did. He looked worried. Oh, hells. Liliana looked away from the Raven Man. She made a fist, filling it with deadly magic ready to unleash at a moment's notice. "Let's do," she said. "We'll start with who you are and what you're doing in my house." Lightning flashed again, this time illuminating a figure cloaked and hooded. Liliana's scalp crawled. "You know who I am," said the voice, not from where the figure had been standing. "What you don't know is what I know." That prickling sensation again. Almost like, "You'd better do something," said the Raven Man. "I can't keep him out of your head forever." In an instant, fear became fury. "Jace, are you insane? I almost killed you." "You almost tried," said the voice. Jace. She'd befriended him on false pretenses, played on his emotions, manipulated him into joining an interplanar crime syndicate, then into overthrowing it. By the time it all went wrong, she'd grown genuinely fond of him, and betraying him had torn out one more strand of her threadbare sense of humanity. Not that that had stopped her, and anyway, if she hadn't done it, they'd both be heroically, uselessly dead. Still, she could see why he might bear a grudge. But never before, at any point in their dysfunctional association, had he threatened her. She could see him now, right in front of her. She willed her zombie minions to attack him, but ropes of light bound their arms and legs, sent them toppling to the ground. She mentally beckoned more to help, to overwhelm him, but felt no reply. "They're not coming," said Jace, all tied up. Liliana had never actually seen Jace lose a fight he'd had time to prepare for. "Get out of my house," said Liliana. "Why?" said Jace. "Am I scaring you?" His eyes glinted beneath his hood. "I certainly hope this display is frightening you," said the Raven Man. "This isn't like him." "Yes," said Liliana to Jace. "This isn't like you. I'm not convinced this is you." The sensation at her temples became a pounding, and the whisper of voices behind it. She resisted the impulse to strain to hear them, which would only give him an opening. He really was attacking her then. "Enough!" She lashed out at him with a whip of death magic, just enough to cause agony. A bolt of purple light slid right through him, and his image popped like a soap bubble. "First you try to hide it from me," he said, this time from a corner of the room. "Now you're trying to silence me. But you can't hide from something this big. Not forever." "I don't know what you're talking about," said Liliana. "I don't know what you think is happening, but you are way out of line." She turned toward him, but when he spoke again, he was behind her. She'd seen him use his illusions and his mind magic to melt away into the shadows and become a phantom, to keep his opponents guessing. He'd never done it to her. She didn't care for it. "The drown yard," he said. "The angels! I see what they're building out there, and you're helping them. Admit it." The pressure at her temples became a splitting pain. "Liliana," said the Raven Man, "I've invested too much in you." "Stop it," said Liliana. "There are a lot of drown yards on Innistrad. I warned you about the angels, and you know damn well I wouldn't help an angel for all the gold in Orzova." "Not for gold," he said. "For the chain veil, for the problem I wouldn't help you solve. You tried to keep me from seeing what happened to Markov Manor. You tried to keep me from finding Soren. Why? Afraid I'll tell him what you're up to?" "I tried to keep you from getting yourself killed," said Liliana. "And I don't know anything about Markov Manor I haven't already told you." "You can't lie to me," said Jace. He seemed to be losing his train of thought. You know better. You're redirecting the whole world's mana into this moon thing just to be rid of the chain veil. Is that it?" His voice was coming from all around the room now, his hooded form moving every time she blinked. There were two of him, then three. This little show would be annoying enough even if she'd actually done whatever it was. Based on false accusations, it was downright infuriating. "Days ago you came to my door asking for help, Jace," she said. "Now here you are with accusations?" "You can't keep secrets from me," he said, an edge of menace creeping into his voice. "All I need is time." "I don't know what you ever saw in him," said the Raven Man, his face very close to hers. "You're nothing but a puzzle to be solved, and he's nothing to you, nothing whatsoever. Or did I misunderstand you?" "Whatever you're accusing me of," said Liliana, "step out into the light and say it to my face. This isn't what you think it is." "Well, how would you know what I think?" snapped Jace. "And why should I trust anything you say? You've done nothing but lie to me, caused me nothing but pain." Her head throbbed. "He's getting through your defenses," hissed the Raven Man. "Do something." One of the images of Jace snapped his head towards the Raven Man, eyes wide. "Who? So you can see him!" There was no time to dwell on that revelation, which was followed quickly by another. Liliana smiled. "And I can see you." She let loose a bolt of magic at Jace, the real Jace, that left him doubled over in pain. The other two Jaces vanished. "Now then," she started to say, but the pressure at her temple started up again. Damned fool. She raked another blast of necromantic energy over him. He cried out, fell to the floor, and lifted his head, eyes glowing, face contorted. "Tell me what I need to know," he said, rising. "Tell me about the drown yard." "He's asking leading questions, trying to bring certain thoughts to the front of your mind," said the Raven Man. He smirked. "A basic maneuver of the telepath." The smug bastard was right. Liliana's vision swam as Jace tried to force his way into her mind. "Stop it," she said. "Even if I knew anything about a drown yard, your tricks wouldn't work on me." She sent another bolt of agony through him, then another, but he kept up his attacks. He fell, rose, fell again, and this time only made it back up to his knees before she lashed him again. "Tell me," he growled. Her skin had begun to burn, her demonic scars etched in purple flame, and the veil, oh, the veil wanted to help her. It siphoned off a few stray rivulets of necromantic energy and returned them to the stream fivefold. She struggled to hold it back, to keep it from killing him instantly. "Stop doing this," she said. "I can't control." Jace was screaming now, eyes still glowing, his assault on her mind intensifying along with the pain. "Just tell me!" The backlash started, agony suffusing Liliana as the chain veil took its toll. Blood began to drip from her scars. She gritted her teeth. She'd felt worse, though, when the scars were administered, for instance. She'd survive this. Jace might not. "He's almost broken through," said the Raven Man. "Kill him." "Don't tell me what to do," she shouted at both of them, at the chain veil, at the moon and the world, and at death itself. "Stop it." "You'll have to kill me," wheezed Jace, tears streaming from inhuman glowing eyes. Liliana's vision began to fade. "Do it," said the Raven Man. "Jace, I don't want to hurt you anymore." The words echoed against stone. The pounding in her head stopped, and for a moment there was no sound but the boom of thunder, the drumming of the rain. The Raven Man sighed in disgust and disappeared in a rustle of feathers. The glow in Jace's eyes faded, and he stared up at her, wan and sweating, looking suddenly very vulnerable and very young. "Any more?" said Jace. His voice was hoarse. "As in, any longer? As in, any more than you already—" "I don't owe you any answers," said Liliana, "and you damn well owe me some." That, at least, told her she was dealing with the real Jace. Who else would pick apart her wording rather than face the reality of the situation? "What did you do to me?" he asked, breath still coming in heavy gasps. "I feel like death." "That's the idea." He almost smiled, then his eyes went wide and he staggered to his feet. "You're bleeding," he said. "Yes." Genuine concern, moments after trying to pry her mind open like a jam jar. "We should know," she said. "Tell me what the hell is going on." Finally, a few zombies padded into the room. Not her freshest specimens. They were the tattered ones she used for sentry duty. He'd probably missed them on his sweep. She set them between her and Jace, but didn't have them attack. Not yet. "You really don't know?" Zombies grabbed his arms and legs. He didn't struggle. "Jace," she said through gritted teeth, "explain now." "I went to Markov Manor," he said. "It was inside out. Rocks floating everywhere. Vampires were stuck in the walls. All that? Right. I found a book. It's a fascinating book. She's been studying who?" Lightning flashed, and Liliana saw the book on his belt. It was a large, ornate thing with an unusual binding. She wouldn't mind perusing it herself, unless it was the reason Jace was so out of sorts. "The Moonfolk. She's been, Moonfolk, fascinating book. She's been studying the moon, and what it causes. The tides, the werewolves, the angels. It's all connected. Those weird stones in the countryside, you haven't touched them, have you? Don't touch them. Just don't. They all point the same way, so there was, they all point towards something is what I'm saying. Not a compass point, but like a place. Where?" A crash of thunder. "Parallax," said Jace, looking at the window as though the storm had answered him. "That's the word. Thank you." "What place?" Nephalia, he stammered. "A drown yard on the coast. I mean, they're all on the coast. Of course they are. Drawn. I was drawn to this particular one. That's where I saw it." "Saw what?" "The moon," he said. She glanced out the window and raised an eyebrow. The moon was hidden behind rain clouds, but the point was clear. "Not that moon," he said. "The other moon. Invisible. But I saw... It doesn't matter. There are angels flying around and zombies, too. I mean, the angels were flying and they were the zombies. They were building huge stone structures like angels wheeling around in the sky. And I thought, since you tried to keep me from going to Markov Manor, and I know how much you're worried about the veil, enough to try something really crazy." He stared at her, eyes suddenly clear. "It's full of ghosts," he said. Souls, and you want to be rid of the ghosts, but keep their power for yourself. And there's one thing they know about here, it's ghosts. Her throat tightened, and for a moment she thought he really had read her mind. Then he snapped his head to one side, where there was nothing but a silent zombie holding him in place. Shut up, he hissed. Geists, fine. Who cares? Who? Never mind, he said. These stone things are redirecting all this mana, and it's going to this drown yard henge, and the zombies are building it, and the angels are going mad, and you hate angels, and you might need a lot of mana to be rid of the chain veil, or, like, alter it somehow. That makes sense, right? Doesn't it? No, she said. It doesn't make any sense, and you're not acting like yourself. It wasn't that unlike Jace, really, to get over-involved in a particularly enticing mystery. But no matter how deep he got, he maintained some measure of control of himself, his powers, if not of the situation. And the one time she'd seen him lose control, he'd ended up putting himself under a mental lockout that took half a year and the death of a friend to snap him out of. Jace was a very powerful telepath. If he went mad, he'd take her with him, among others.
Hey Wizards, what's up? It's Dev. I hope that you had as much fun with that just now as I did. That's not the entire story. You can go to wizards.com and check out the rest. I will link to the story in the video description there. And let me know in the comments how you felt about this idea. I really don't do much lore related, and I've never done anything like this, but I really like these sort of Let's Read or, Reddit reading channels on YouTube, and I wanted to try my hand at something like that. And lore is fun, and there's a lot of people that don't know anything about the lore, but I think that the interactions between, Jace and Liliana is really cool. And there's some cool stuff, there's art for the Raven Man, so are we going to actually see him as a card in the next set? And if you don't know about the Raven Man, check him out in the lore. There's a lot of cool stuff. Like, he's the guy that basically led Liliana to poison her brother in the first place and go down this dark path that she's on. And obviously Jace is working with someone that Liliana can't see. It's probably Tamio. I think we know that. But there's lots of stuff in this story that we're not totally sure. Like, Jace saw some kind of crazy moon. What is that all about? What are the zombies, working on, really? Because it's in the henge, and they're working on a thing. Like, what are you working on? It's drawing a bunch of mana. What's up with that? It's probably to summon Emrakul or something. We'll see. But there's a lot of stuff in this little story here that's really, you can speculate a lot on. Even the parts that I didn't read towards the end, there's a lot to talk about. So check that out. It's going to be in the video description, and we can talk about it in the comments. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Got some more deck techs and stuff coming up, the stuff you like. But let me know if you enjoyed this or not, because that really hinges on whether or not I do more. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys later. If you enjoyed the content, like it, share it, subscribe to the things, and I'll see you guys next time. I'm Dev from SBMTG. Thanks for listening, my wizards.